I feel that I've moved ahead by being given uh, 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 actually or implied, or giving myself actually or implied permission. That if I have a thought about something that interests me, I give myself permission to try it. Uh, that I am not. I don't like failing, but I accept it absolutely as part of what I do. But I'm not accepting it just, well, it didn't work. I'm accepting it by understanding the nature and structure of each failure, not just the business way of saying all great men fail and that. No, but it's going back into that proactively to understand the nature and the structure, the particularization of the failure. You just went to a show of mine, of some of my artwork. Um, and I did there's some sculpture there. Obviously, you saw the sculpture. And I had never done a piece of sculpture before in my life, before a year and a half ago. But I just sat down and said, well, I was interested in doing it. And I got some clay and I started doing those sculptures. And I gave myself permission to do it, and permission to be humiliated. But I don't show my things to anybody. So that's what's unusual about the show. But permission to humiliate myself of not being able to do anything that was decent. Or one of my kids saying, that looks like a piece of shit, Dad. The permission giving to myself as not having money, not family money, not being connected with a university or a company or having my own company, of deciding one day in 1983 to do a conference and invite people and call it TED, which was a ridiculous name for a conference, that many people thought my name was TED, which stood for three things that people didn't understand, I thought were one thing. That's why I put them together in a word, the idea of that convergence, and do a conference. Now, it could fail. I mean, I lost money in the first one. People didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And I didn't do it for a number of years after the first one, because basically financially it didn't work. I didn't have any money. I couldn't afford the money I lost. But over virally, because this is 1983, 84 was the first one, before social media, before computer graphics, before the internet. People talked and the word got out that this was really a remarkable event. It took me 6 years to do the second one, and then I did 2 or 3 a year. But it took 6 years where I sat around. I wasn't thinking of doing another one until there was this wellspring virally that it was, but it only started because I gave myself permission to fail, permission to work out an idea. And the only way to do it was to do it. The book I sent you, I mean, that book could have been enormous humiliation to me. It's a book about everything and nothing. You could call it an egomaniacal scrapbook. You could really put lots of pejoratives against the bad use of the word dilettante. Dilettante used to have a good meaning, about the amateur in that book. And yet, and there's no organization and no publisher would publish it. They wouldn't. I talked to the top ones. I had the top agent. I had Nicholas Negroponte's agent, who doesn't take new people. She couldn't sell it to anybody. So I just did it myself.